Okay, so recently we released the new version of the product called MCU. This solution is very different to our main product, which is most of you well known, which is TrueConf Server. So TrueConf MCU is dedicated to cover different types of tasks. It was created to support existing video conferencing deployments, which are based on standard protocols like SIP and free-to-free. It is a new product. We released it last year, but we try to add features to it constantly. We already did a couple of product updates. Today, we are going to cover the third product update for the version 1.3, which was released a couple of weeks ago. It is already available on our website. I'm going to use the screen sharing tool today a lot instead of slide deck, so don't be afraid to see my desktop. I will stop the presentation and we'll cover this update and some basic information about this product. If you have any questions, feel absolutely free to interrupt me and send your messages to chat, and me and my colleague Vlad will try to answer your questions in real time.
Yeah, thank you, Lev. By the way, hi all.
Yeah, hi Vlad.
Let's start.
Yeah, let's go. Okay. This is my screen. I hope you can see it in high resolution. So MCU is dedicated to support legacy video conferencing equipment, but it is a software. So we do not offer it as a hardware appliance. We offer it as a shareware, and that means it has a free version which can be installed on any Debian-based Linux machine or virtual machine, and later this free version can be transformed into the full version. So the deployment process is quite straightforward. It is not difficult. The only requirement is the Linux Debian-based distro and Linux machine. We have in our documentation the guide on how to install the product. It usually takes less than half an hour. MCU connects all popular legacy endpoints, let's say from Cisco, Poly, Huawei, Yearlink, and many others. It supports very high resolutions, frame rates, and all important features you are expecting to see from MCU solution. The main difference between MCU and TrueConf Server is the idea is that all conferences in MCU are managed by administrators, while when we speak about TrueConf Server, conferences are usually managed by moderators, special roles which are assigned to the conference participants. It is the first difference. And the second difference, TrueConf Server usually connects desktops, mobiles, so it is more like unified communication systems, while MCU in most cases is used to connect room systems only between rooms. So in TrueConf Server, we can have very large conferences for hundreds of participants, while MCU is dedicated to support a smaller number of participants, but provides more tools to control the layouts and some other important aspects of the meeting which happens in the conferencing rooms. The second main difference is connected with the architecture of the product. MCU is constantly creating layouts. It means it receives multiple video streams from every participant in real time, but outputs only single video stream to every participant, depending on the layout selected for these participants. That means it is constantly mixing the video streams, which creates a lot of load on the CPU. That's why the system requirements for the conference of the same size for MCU and for the server is very different. because MCU is using standard protocols, H323 and SIP, which do not support modern SVC-based architectures, which are available in many popular cloud solutions and in TrueConf server. This is the main difference. And when we talk about the managing of conferences, this is actually a traditional way how conferences are managed on the MCU. There is always an administrator who control the meetings using special web interface in real time. The administrator is usually adding more participants. Administrator selects layout and rules which controls the layout and do many other things. So people in the room, they usually do nothing. They only speak and see what's going on, and everything else is managed from centralized and managed by the administrator. That's the whole idea of the MCU. So this is how the MCU control panel look like. So the new version, which was recently released, is 1.3. It is fully localized. It can be installed on virtual machines as well. So let me cover briefly what we have included into the new version, what new features are available here. So first of all, we have added a special status panel on the top. So administrators are always in every interface. This panel is available on every page. Administrators now can see the approximate usage of the available resources. This figure is not connected directly with the load of the CPU. This actually shows how many resources left, because there could be many different configurations, especially on virtual machines with virtual CPUs. So we calculate our own custom number, which approximately shows you how busy the MCU right now. So for example, if the MCU is very busy, you can in real time, you can change the output resolution, for example, for new conference, for new participants, to save some resources. In our regular server, TrueConf server, there is no point in such figure, in such numbers, because it acts on a different architecture. And actually, the load on the server is always very low. But in an MCU case, it is different. We have to mix video streams, and it is very important to track the load of the system. This panel also shows the number of conferences which are currently running on the server and number of endpoints, participants, which are connected to the MCU. You can see those figures respectively here and here. Active connections and number of active conferences. The next thing I'd like to cover is the very new feature we call audio channels. But to demonstrate you the audio channels, we have started a conference. Let me start it from the beginning. So here we have the list of available conferences. We can access using the conferences tab. I will try to increase the size of the page a little bit. On the conferences tab, we can see all scheduled conferences and ongoing conferences, or we can create a new one. So I have created a conference already with a pin code 8000 and have added a couple of Cisco and Polycom endpoints as participants from the address book. So let me start this conference. Let's wait a little bit for the endpoints to reply to my call. Yes, finally, they are connected. We can check in real time the layout. The endpoint receives, yeah, we can see 2 participants. And I'd like to connect my laptop to the same conference as well to have better view on what is going on the MCU. So I'm going to call the MCU. and I will send Dtmf command, which is with a pin number of this conference. I will put hash to join it. Yeah, here we are. So now we have, I will maximize the screen. So we can see that MCU is delivering right now I think it is 720p resolution. Yeah, 720p 30 frames per second video is mixing for every participant. So the idea of the MCU is, Arjun, if you have questions, please ask in the chat. I don't allow you to take the podium. So to change the layout, it is not possible to change the layout for user. So because usually it is a room system, you are only able to enable or disable your self-view video, or you usually can choose between multiple positions of your content screen and self-view and the video endpoint receives, but the video endpoint receives the layout is selected on the MCU. So to change that, we can go to MCU and change layouts using special video layout settings here. We covered this in the last webinar. So if you'd like to learn more about this wonderful tool, which allows to create the almost infinite number of layouts for up to 64, as I remember, placeholders. So you can go back to our previous webinar. But here in this new version, we added a very interesting thing, which is called audio channels. That tool can be used to create multiple language channels, for example, for simultaneous interpretation for important meetings. Here we have added a special button which looks like the audio signal. So if I go there, I will be able to create a new channel. Let's me do that. Let's make channel 1 for, let's say, for French. And after that, I have to add the source of audio. And secondly, I have to add the receivers of this audio channel. Once I add a participant as a source, let's say me will be an interpreter and my audio should go only for Cisco. After that, the channel is created. We can add more sources and we can add more receivers. But the idea is that once the channel is created, MCU stop mixing audio. Once the channel is available, MCU starts to exclude my audio from the default channel from all participants, and my audio now goes directly only for this participant. So there could be many receivers of audio, but when we select the source is excluded from the default audio channel. That's the idea. It have to be audio sources have to be carefully selected to avoid duplication of audio, but we by default exclude automatically. So we can use this tool for many different tasks. It could be used for interpretation. It could be used for zoning. For example, we can send different audio channels for different participants. It could be audio in the background. It could be interpretation. It could be some assistance. There could be some technical team who use a second codec in a second room just to control what's going on, and they can, for example, receive additional audio stream from a special participant. So there are many potential use cases, and we are not aware of many of them. So if you have any ideas, try to use this tool. Another thing we have added is the ability to add into the layout any media sources. For that, we have added a special media library on MCU side. So if you go to settings, here you can find the media files section. Once we open it, you can see that it is possible to access the media files uploaded on this to the MCU and to access the recordings of the previous meetings. So we can upload here any images or video files, whatever. You can play back videos here as well. Let me find some. So you can preview videos before pulling them into the conferences. So once we uploaded media resources here, we are now able to add them to the layout of our conference. Just to remind you, here we have a conference with 3 participants. But if I go to this new button, let me show you one more time. And this is a button with a play sign on it. We can use it to send any images or video files or recordings to the call, to the primary video stream, or to the secondary content stream, which is delivered using protocols like BFCP and H239 to the endpoints, which are usually displayed on the second screen. So we can select which stream to choose to send the media files there. So once I click those buttons, you can see that more participants is added to the call. We can add the video as well. Yeah, let me show you. So now MCU mixes for us many participants, and every media file or video is actually is treated like a real participant. So if I go to the management of this conference, I can enlarge let's say I'd like to make this video larger in the layout. So I put a crown on it, so it becomes larger in the layout automatically. Another new thing added to this release is the new type of video layouts. So before, all video layouts was like bricks added to each other. So it was not possible to create a layout where one participant overlay like picture in picture over another participant. So right now it is possible, and we create layouts which are overlaid. Yeah, we have a crown on the video. Let's remove it first. Okay, yes, now we're back to the gallery view, and now I can create a custom layout. So if we go to the layout, if we go to the layout control tool, let me move this video a little bit. So you can see that we can change layouts usually here. And here is now available a new checkbox, which is called Enable or Overlay. Once I do that and apply changes, you can see that video is now displayed over another video, and we can select who is located in this layout. We can fill it automatically, and it will be changed again. So it is controlled in the same way like regular layouts. The only difference is that all mini videos, smaller videos, are located over the main video. That's the main difference. So basically, now I'm back to the regular gallery view. So basically, this checkbox allows to create twice more layouts, and the use cases here could be very different. For example, we can put on the background a special image. We can put on the background a video file, or we can put on the background another participant. So it allows us to create custom backgrounds. It also usable when you, for example, demonstrate the content. So we can create a special layout with the content is large, while all participants are located over the content. Let's say a presentation. So it adds more flexibility to the layouts, this overlay feature. You can see that there are many different types of layouts. We support up to 64 participants in each. And just to remind you how it usually looks, let me just do a short demonstration. So when we select a layout, we can, let's do 13. We can select a special rules for every slot, for every small part of the layout. There could be, for example, slots with active speaker, and the slot is now shows me a special icon and has a different color. So now I can see that this layout, big window, will always be busy with the participants who is actively talking. We can add more voice activated speakers to the layout, so they will work like a stack. So the second active speaker slot will show the person who spoke previously, and the third slot will show the person who spoke before the previous person. We can also create a fixed layout. So let's say this place in the layout will be empty, but this place in the corner will be fixed for some specific participant. So this allows us to create any variations of the layout remotely. So the users in the room, they don't need to do anything. So everything is controlled, the layout, the audio channels, by the administrator remotely. That's the power of the MCU. And it is actually like a traditional video conferencing is done. So everything is centralized. Everything is administrated remotely. So you only push a mute button. You don't have any other buttons except for the hang up on the endpoint. Okay, the next feature of this release is the ability to customize the titles of the windows. We can disable them, or we can change the style of them. So if I go to the settings, we have skins here. I can change the background. It is not possible yet to upload your custom background, but you can do that already using the overlay layouts. So it's actually a duplication of the functionality. But the new thing here is ability to change fonts. And if I have too many screens floating here, if I save, the style for titles will change, and we can actually move this placeholder. We can make it shorter and move it to the top of the video or to the middle. We can change the position. We can even change the position of text inside this title. We can change the color and many other things. So let me select robot bold size 12. So now we completely changed the look of those titles. So that's the new feature of customization of participants' titles. Of course, we can change and rename every participant on the go. For example, here we have MCU MP4 for the large participant. And if I go to the participant list and select display name, I will be able to change it. I can call it, let's say, the demo movie. And it will be immediately changed in the layout. Another new feature is the ability to add to the call and conferences the desktops, remote desktops. There is a thing, popular technology, pretty old one, which is called VNC. I will enlarge the text for you. So VNC consists of two parts. There's always a server and the client. So client sends to the server some, usually it is a desktop, let's say content stream. So now it is possible for us to listen in the network for VNC streams, and we can grab from the VNC client, any VNC client, the content and use it as a content stream or as a video stream in MCU. So to show this, I don't have a VNC currently in the network. We'll show you just how it can be done. If we go to the participants pane, I'd like to add a new participant. Now I can select the protocol. So you can see we can add H323, SIP, RTSP. It was available before participants, but now it is also possible to add VNC. So every VNC client has a special address we can use. It can be authenticated as well. So we can add password here and username if needed. And after we add such participant, MCU will try to grab this desktop stream using VNC protocol and play it back into the layout, into the meeting. So we can grab desktop from the network, anywhere from the network, from the machine which is located in the conference room, or it could be a presentation which is delivered from the laptop of the administrator. So the good thing here, once we start the VNC session, we can change slides or show any applications using VNC, and it will be displayed in the layout in 30 frames per second in a very nice video quality in real time. So it could be used for remote presentations and many other cases. So this is a very unique feature and is quite useful. And the good thing about VNC, it is open source solution, open source protocol. So there are many implementations of it. Okay, another thing which wasn't available before is ability to send Dtmf commands. So I can click on the settings for participants I'd like to send a command, and after that I can send any commands using this very nice interface to any endpoint. So it is particularly useful when we do cascading meetings, when one MCU outputs the conference to another MCU, which allows us to summarize the capacity of both MCUs to support more participants on screen, and we can send special commands to MCU to control it, or we can use it to send special commands to lobby rooms of other systems. For example, we can add here SIP gateway address for Zoom or BlueJeans meeting and enter a PIN code using this interface. So we can connect legacy equipment using this tool with online meeting solutions, which outputs the conferences over SIP. There are many options how to do that. Almost all vendors allow such function, except for Microsoft Teams, which is only available using CVI for partners. But for Zoom, GoToMeeting, BlueJeans, and others, it is not a problem to connect their meetings over SIP to MCU meeting and send some Dtmf commands. Okay, we also increased the resolution which can be output from the server. The previous limitation was for 1080p, but now it is also possible to output 4K. That means 2160p resolution. So if I go to the test conference, I will show you. Now in additional settings, we can select the higher maximum bitrate. So this parameter limits the maximum bitrate the MCU can output for a particular conference. So now it is possible to select 8 megabits. 8 megabits is per second, of course, is enough to output 4K video. So if we have nice quality HD videos from at least 4 participants in a call, we can output quad HD resolution and 4K resolution of the conference. Of course, the encoding and mixing of such high quality video will require more resources from the virtual machine or dedicated machine. So the system requirements actually approximately 3 to 4 times higher compared to full HD 30 frames per second video. But nowadays, it becomes a requirement. We have bigger screens. We have in many top conferencing rooms, we have LED screens, which outputs very high resolution, very high quality, and it is always very nice to have extremely crisp and high resolution video on screen. For point-to-point calls, it not always possible, but for multi-point calls, which goes through the MCU, it is now possible. Okay, let me check what else we have in the new release. Overlay layouts. I covered this. Yeah, waiting room. So let's imagine we have a situation when we have to check the endpoint, audio quality, video quality, the position of the camera, the position of participants in the room before inviting them to the important meeting. Because that important meeting could be broadcasted to a TV, or that important meeting is delivered to a VIP person. So it is important to pre-check everything before you join someone to that important meeting. So now it is possible to create a second conference, and during this call in the second conference we can prepare everything, disable the microphone, for example, or enable the camera, and after that we can move participants from one call to another call with a single click, and all the settings of the participants will be preserved. So let me show you. So if I click Add Participants button and select Address Book, here I can see that I can invite participants not only from the address book, I can invite participants from another ongoing conferences. And those participants will be gently moved from one conference to another conference with the settings preserved, which is useful for important meetings. So any conference can act as a waiting room thanks to this feature. Another new feature is the avatars. Avatars can be used as a special images which are displayed in a layout when a participant is not sending any video. This feature is useful when you add to the layout someone, but that participant don't want to share his video or her video, and disable camera. But MCU, instead of empty video, will start to send the and mix into the layout the avatar uploaded for this contact. This feature can also be used, for example, to create special logos. For example, it could be a logo of the company or logo of the organization, and we add to the layout in advance this participant to the call with the only idea to show its avatar as a logo in the meeting. Okay, Ultra HD video, yeah, it is now possible, and I think that's it. We have covered most of the features of the last release. Let me highlight them for you one more time. So the first thing, we have added audio channels. So now it is possible to create any directions of audio from from one participant to another in any direction. We can create multiple channels, and MCU will intellectually mix audio to avoid duplication and to help you to do difficult audio tasks. We added support for VNC streaming, which is very useful for desktop sharing. We added a special panel for media files, which can be added to the conferences with a couple of clicks. And we also added a special types of layout, which is overlaid layout, which actually duplicates the number of available layouts and also brings more flexibility to the meetings. We added the ability to move participants from one call to another call in real time with the preservance of their settings. The thing I missed is it is also possible, starting from this version, to create a special layout for the recording. And when we do a layout for recording, there are two types of layouts for recordings we can create. First layout for recording, which is used when nobody is sending any content, and special content recording layout is enabled when any participant in the conference start to send the content over BFCP or 239 protocols. So in the recording, we can create a layout when the content is larger, while other participants are smaller. And when the content is not available in the call, again, participants become larger, not the content. So it also brings a very nice flexibility for the post-processing, for the analysis of the meetings which is over. We added the customization tools for titles of the participant in the call. We added the tool which allows to remotely send Dtmf commands from the administrator side using the control panel to any endpoint in the call. We added support for avatars, which can be used as a replacement for your videos in the calls. And we added support for 4K video. That's it. That the release of TrueConf MCU 1.3. If you have any questions, feel free to ask. I'd like to...
Yeah, actually, Lev, we do have some questions now in chat.
Okay, very nice.
Especially the question from Michael.
Before we go to the questions, I'd like to remind you that we recently opened the community in the Telegram. Telegram is one of the most popular messaging platforms in the world, and it is very rich in features when we talk about communities. So we decided to select this platform for our users. So our product team and our technical support is always there. So if you have any questions, ideas, feel free to directly interact with our team using this channel. We have two communities, English-speaking community, which is very small right now, so I hope you will join it, and Russian-speaking, which is very large, of course. So for us, it is a very important source of the insights and the ideas and the features our users really need in their daily video conferencing routines. So it's a very important source of feedback for us. Okay, so I'm stopping the screen sharing and I'm going back to the questions. Yeah. Wow.
Yeah, actually, I replied to all of them in chat, but maybe we should elaborate more on them.
Will you share the slide deck? Yes, we will send the slide deck to all registered participants. Avatar is still, or like video movement, avatar is still, it's just an image. It could be PNG, JPEG, or any other image file. If you'd like to use video in a layout, you have to use this media media deck, this feature which allows to add media files to the layout. But it will be placed, it will be played back in the layout slot. Okay, are these features in general release? Yes, Michael, you can download MCU 1.3, it is already available. The free version is up to 4 participants. The trial version is available on request for 3 weeks, and the full version has no limitations, so it can be used to create and host conferences up to 64 participants. Is there any kind of trial demo download option or license key? It is a shareware. TrueConf MCU is like any other our product, so you can download it from the website. So just go to the website, click download, and you will be asked to tell a little bit about yourself, like your contact information and your email. After this form, we will send you the download link and the activation key. The free version also has an activation key, but we can add more features on request. We have a live chat on our website, so if you go to TrueConf.com and start a live chat session with our agent and tell him the first 5 characters of your key, we will be able to find you and add more features to your license as a trial. Usually we do trials for 3 weeks, but they can be shorter, they could be extended. So we're very flexible for trials, so feel absolutely free to ask our live chat agent. Okay. Yeah, no more questions. Well, we will share the slide deck. We will share the recording of this MCU later with all people who registered. Thank you for your time. We are continue to develop more features. This summer, I hope we will release the very important update for TrueConf server, which will have messenger features. So you might notice that for today's demonstration, I have used the new version of TrueConf client application, which is totally different to the current version of our application. So we're going to cover this new client application in August, very soon. It will be released in July, this new version, and in August we will cover it in the webinar. And later, I think in September, October, or in October, we will release a new version of our server, so many more features. So stay tuned. The very big news are coming. A lot of new features are coming. I hope that you find this webinar useful, and be healthy. It is important today. I wish you all the best and hope to see you in August. Thank you.
Thank you for coming. Have a good day.
Yeah,
Bye-bye.
thank you. Thank you, Vlad. Bye-bye. Thank you, guys.